So I'm out here today to make an entry video for a challenge. The challenge is put out by Sargefaria here on YouTube. The challenge is, it's a big one. Actually, there's a lot to do. The only items that we're allowed to use for this challenge are, you're allowed some cordage. Here I've got a couple of wraps of bank line on a piece of wood. It's actually quite a bit there. The other thing that you're allowed to bring along and use if you choose to is a fish hook. So I've got one fish hook and a length of cordage. Now there's quite a few things that you have to do in this challenge, and I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult on myself too. Despite the fact that I have the bank line there, I brought along this. This was harvested out in the wild. This is dog bane. I collected this on my way here today, and I'm going to use this to make some natural cordage. Look at those strands. That's amazing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make some natural cordage. What I want to use that for is making my fire. That's part of the challenge. You have to make a primitive fire using just what you have. So I know I could use the bank line for that, but I've always wanted to make a bow drill right from scratch, just using my hands and using natural cordage anyways. So we're going to go ahead and do that just for the fun of it, make this challenge a little bit more challenging. And then another thing that is required to complete this is to make a cutting tool. Now I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks and actually planning for this day when I'd come out here and do this. And on another hike that I was on, I collected this rock and a couple other ones like it out of a creek. This was collected out in the woods specifically with this in mind, and I believe this to be some kind of chert. As you can see, I've taken some good flakes off of here. I did these with a hammer stone, knocked them off, and it got some really good cutting edges. So today, for the purpose of this challenge, I'll make some fresh cutting edges here off of this stone, and I'll show that to you as well as I go. I'm done making cordage now. I've managed to throw together about 10 feet or so. That should be plenty once I double it up from my bow drill set. I think I need a better hammer stone. So here's what I've come up with for cutting tools. All it is a simple edge. This piece here is very coarse, so I'm going to use this one for cutting through some wood fibers for some things that I need to make and collect. And this one's coarse as well. Still a decent cutting edge. And these things, you can hold on to them several different ways so they won't cut you, but they are definitely sharp enough to do that. These smaller flakes, they've got just absolute razor edges on them. So when it comes time to process anything, if I manage to catch some food, I'll be using those little pieces. And this one here is a bigger flake, but it got a really nice sharp edge on it. So this will probably be my primary one for processing anything that I need to do food-wise. So this spot on the creek where I'm hanging out, it's got a lot of things that I can make use of here. I'll show you real quick. I'll have to set the camera up and you'll see how the flint knife does for collecting these things. But right in here, we have some offshoot growth. And I think that one's an alder tree, but we also have some birch trees that are doing the same thing. So I'll collect some of what bushcrafters tend to call withies off of those, the little sticks. And another thing that I want to use, just for fun, is this. That's a vine, probably a clematis. It's hanging down from the trees, making his way down to the creek. So I haven't worked with that a lot, so I'm going to give that a go and see what I can do with my projects for the challenge here. This is what I'm really after. We had a bunch of little branches there, new growth off the trees, and this guy had me hung up in the bushes here, but it's coming with me. This is a nice green vine, very flexible. So I've been out gathering materials to make my container with, and I'm going to make a simple foraging container. It'll be a basket. Doesn't get much simpler than that. I'm no expert at that by any means, but I'm going to give it a go here. These are the materials that I'm going to use. Just have a few little withies. Here's some of that dogbane bark that I've peeled off. I haven't twisted this into actual cordage yet, so it's just fibers. That'll make good lashings. And the vine, this spot that I'm at's a gold mine for me. I have all kinds of resources in this little log jam. So I'll be staying here for a little while. I'm going to get to work on my project now. So I'm going to try to use a vine to make this basket come together here. I've tied it on with some of the dogbane cordage. And I'm going to start with a small piece and begin the weaving process, and I'll just leave all these ugly tag ends of the dogbane and that hanging until I start to get a decent wrap here. And then when I'm done, I can tidy it up if I want to. And we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to start by wrapping over and under and over and under. See if I can get some form of a tight weave going, even though these sticks are all spaced out. And yeah, I'll just take it from there and see if I can make something out of this. So now I'm to a point where I've got the base of my basket sort of started. It's a loose weave. I'll have to do some filling in there, but that's okay. Now what I've done is I've gathered up the tops because it was forming a flat sort of platform there. So I've gathered the tops and lashed them together with some more of that dogbane, and that's going to help me get the container shape out of this thing. So now all I have to do is continue on weaving in this vine, and I'll check back in with you in a few minutes. Here we have a container. This could prove to be a handy little basket for foraging or whatever. It's almost done now. And the last thing I need to do to this for now is to fold over some of these sticks and just lash together a quick handle on it. Well, the modern knife definitely does a better job. A lot faster too. And hey, sometimes we have to do things the hard way, just for fun. So the next thing that I need to do is make my bow drill set. And I think I got everything I need right here. I'm going to start off with this big fallen cottonwood tree. And just using my bare hands, I'm going to see what I can get out of here. Even that right there is a good baseboard. Take some pieces out of this little log jam here. There's all kinds of stuff I can use in here for the bow drill. I'm not even going to need a knife. I'll just be able to break something into the right shape. And yeah, should be able to find a set here. Okay, so I'm going to move on here now. Got a lot to do yet today, so I'll quickly run through an inventory of the things I'm taking with me when I go here. Got a couple of spindles here for the bow and drill, a good cottonwood hearth board. Here's the bow I'm going to use. I've doubled up the string that I made this morning from the hemp dog bane, and it's tied on there. So it's a do or die with that one. We'll give it a try. I've got my basket that I made here, and I'm going to use this as I go for collecting up some tinder materials, specifically some hopefully birch bark and dry grasses and maybe some little kindling. I also have my chert knives. These are coming with me too. And yeah, we're doing pretty good out here today. Currently just cruising around looking for tinder materials and for one other crucial piece of my bow drill kit that I was missing. And I found a bunch of deer bones here, and here we have exactly what I was looking for. It's a little on the small side, but it's gonna work. I was missing my bearing block, and this is a hip socket from a very small deer. So that should work fine as a bearing block, as long as I have a spindle that's small enough to fit in that. Cool. Looks like I found the rest of the deer. It was definitely very little, but these vertebrae
probably have spots that you can use as a socket too. Not as good as that little hip one I found, but it looks like they'd probably work. You could get your palm on that and use that for a socket. Can never go wrong with birch bark. So now it's time to try to get something to eat here. And with what we're allowed for this challenge, I will be using this fish hook, my one fish hook, this bank line. I don't have time to make any more natural cordage, so we'll save that for the bow drill, and my chert rocks. So we could just make a fishing pole and go catch a fish. That would be making a device to procure yourself some food, but we'll try to step it up at least a little notch from that. I don't have many options open to me because the hunting and whatever trapping stuff is not really legal right now. It's not hunting season or anything. So I'm going to go find my little chert rock, and then I'm going to get to work on my device to catch a fish. Here's the thing about this primitive survival stuff. You can really do most of it just with your bare hands. I'm really just using the flint knives, the chert knives, as an experiment more than anything. There we have a rough notch. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a second here. I started off trying to use a trigger stick in here, like just a regular snare type trigger, but it didn't work. It wouldn't hold in there well enough with the angle that I'm at. So I'm using a flat stick that I've squared off on two sides. There, you can see that, and that's going to sit into that notch. And hopefully I can adjust it properly so that when a fish bites, it'll knock this out of the notch and set the hook. So I'm going to have to play around with that for a bit and get it working, and we'll see how it goes. I got a scrawny little earthworm on my hook. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up Let's see if we have any success anytime soon. Got a bit more work to do on my bow drill set here. First thing I need to do is make a notch for the spindle to go into. Not going to get really fancy with that. I'm just going to carve a little divot for now. These pieces of chert, they don't handle turning well when cutting. So you pretty much have to cut straight lines, or else you're just going to destroy your blade. Be lucky if this one survives this little endeavor. Well, there's a start. Next thing I have to do is try to round off at least one end of my spindle, so that it'll fit into that deer hip bone. Close counts out here today. Yeah, that's close. That's getting hot. Hopefully this hip bone's not too small, or I might have to go to plan B, get some green wood. We'll see. Fail. My hemp dog bane cordage already bailed on me. Bummer. Alright, time to regroup. Alright, so I've restrung the bow with 2 strands twisted together of bank line. One thing about just using the flint chips is that I don't get to really round out these points. I'm hoping they'll just seat in on their own. Actually, maybe I should flip that one around. More failure. Busted through the hip bone. It was too small. Alright, gonna give this another try. This time I'm gonna try using the deer vertebrae as a bearing block here. Still working on getting this thing seated in. So I've got a long ways to go yet. Off to a great start. Finally, some signs of hope. So now I've got that seated in there. Then go ahead and carve out my notch with my little piece of flint here. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna carve it out. Wore out the edge on a couple of pieces of chert carving this out, but fortunately this is a pretty decently soft piece of wood. Hopefully that's in there far enough. And now that we've got everything seated in, notched together and all that, it's time for the main event. Let's see how we do. There yet. We got a long ways to go. my baseboard. Well, I'm pretty excited. I finally had some success. Maybe not with my bow drill fire, but at least something I tried today has worked. Well, my baskets worked out pretty good and other things too, but my little fishing setup got me this. I've already dispatched it, but now part of the challenge is to actually dress or deal with whatever food animal, game animal that you got with your knife that you made in the wilderness. So I've been saving this particular piece of flint specifically for this purpose. See how it does. Yeah, it looks like it hasn't been eating much. You should always check the stomach of any fish you catch when you're out. See what it's been eating. That'll give you a clue for what kind of bait you should use the next time. Alright, done deal. Little fish gutted with a piece of chert. I'll leave the head attached because there's some meat in the cheeks, and you can even eat the eyeballs if you want to. Now if I can only get a fire going, I can eat this. It was close. Very close. Man, it is hot out. It was nice down by the creek down there. Now that I'm up out of that little valley though, the heat sure sets in. Well, I'm heading home. I had fun today trying the challenge out for Sargefaria there. Got almost everything done. The only thing that I didn't succeed in was probably the most important one, and that's making a fire. I got my bow drill set made a couple times, a couple different ways. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have wasted all that time this morning making the cordage, but I had fun doing it, and that's what this is all about, you know. Owning your skills, coming out here and practicing, having fun doing it, and getting some reality involved in it. So it was good. I enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm going to post this video even though I didn't get fire going. Of course I could have, you know, always have several ways of making a fire on me ready to go at a moment's notice. So it wasn't about that I couldn't, it's just that with the materials that I was working with, my flint knives and just the wood that I found and the string that I had, didn't happen. That's life, that's survival, that's reality. So, well, I guess that's it for this time. I'm gonna head on home and put this video together and upload it. And I hope you see more of you guys trying out on Derek's challenge there. Thanks for watching. See you around.